Live. Good evening and welcome to the Planning Committee of 18th of February. Nobody in here. I will jump to apologies for absence. Councillor Plant said he would pass on apologies, as did Councillor Romans.
And Councillor Jackson.
Councillor Jackson emailed as well. Perfect. Declarations of interest. I see none. Minutes to approve the minutes of the Planning Committee from the 4th of Feb. Councillor Thomas, Councillor Dodds, all in favour? Thanks. No public participation. We'll jump straight into plans amended and go to the highlight of the evening. Thames Farm.
Yes.
I would just like to make a statement before we start here, before you go into it. There was one comment from Thames Water that said they will not comment until the Environment Agency until the grouting is complete. The grouting can't be completed until the Environment Agency have commented. I don't even know, is it worthwhile discussing, or do we just want to say our bit, or is it just going to be a resounding no? Councillor Thomas.
My thoughts are that we should offer a meet. We're waiting for the TFAG reports with the engineer. You don't know how.
The JBA reports.
You don't know when that's expected, do you?
21st.
21st.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the deadline is the 28th. I'm wondering if we could squeeze in a meeting with Shiplake and
I'm more than happy to support
yeah.
that. More than happy to support that.
And keep councillors informed of that meeting.
I think that will work really well.
Yeah.
So we can get a meeting in, if they're due the 20th, which is this Thursday.
21st.
21st is Friday, so we can get some.
Respond by the 28th.
That's fine. So if we can put together the response.
I'm sure we can all manage to clear our diaries for this one.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
More than happy to.
Yeah.
I think my time is good next week.
Mm-hmm.
We could potentially then have a quick, because what have we got? What is it, TNC next week? TNC next week. We could do a pre-meet prior to TNC if people were available, if they wanted to come down.
But
There's already a pre-meet that Sherry's put in the diary.
Oh, there's a pre-meet for Highlands Farm.
Yeah.
Highlands Farm.
I'm wondering, because it's Shiplake and Harpston, I'm wondering if we should offer them a late afternoon kind of meeting. Do you think?
Yes.
Instead of them having to come out in the dark and come into the
4
town
o'clock
hall.
or something.
Yeah.
Like half
I
three or
think that'll be really good. Just on that though, because we're going to have the TFAG report. Environment Agency are not committed to provide any response for 8 to 10 weeks. Thames Water will not support anything until the grouting issue and the strategy has been put forward. I don't think, even with the documentation that is there at the minute, I don't think we can even, there's not enough documentation. We can't even judge it. So whether or not we just put together the response that says we can't judge this because there's insufficient information. Certain groups have not responded, are not in a position to respond, and I've made it very clear. These aren't residents. This is Thames Water. This is the Environment Agency.
If I may, my own thought is that we've always gone hand in hand with Shiplake and Harpston. So perhaps if we have that meeting with Shiplake and Harpston, and we all agree, if that is the strategy that we go with, then
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, because it is correct. We have gone hand in hand with them. I think in terms of what we were asking, what we were being asked to do in terms of responding to these plans, have they put the responses in? Because that's the other side. This is for Henley Town Council, and I'm imagining Shiplake Parish Council and Harpston Parish Council.
I think they'll be doing the same thing as us, which is waiting for the TFAG report
Okay.
from their engineers.
Yeah.
I mean, I already know what the engineers are going to say.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it'd be good to
and
actually
you
see
can,
it black and
also,
white.
you know, we've seen the JBA report. We've seen the main agencies from the Environment Agency from Thames Water. We've seen the landscape plan being looked at and saying we need a woodland management plan. We've got traffic.
Highways have said no.
Yeah. We have there's no source protection strategy. There's no construction environment management plan. And they said about pilot risk assessment, but they haven't, they're going for grouting and there's PFN in grout. We still haven't got anything about the grout.
The Secretary of State was very clear
Yeah.
in what she said, so.
Okay, so we're going to wait.
Can I just?
Sorry, yes. Keep forgetting.
Yeah, if we're expecting the JBA report for the 21st, TFAG will need to consider that to put their points together, which we don't know how long that will take. It could take them a while. I feel like it's tight to get a meeting in there with all of them agreed.
I thought the JBA report had already been done.
No,
That's what's coming on the 21st.
So we won't even have it until Friday. The other option is
Is this the, okay,
to consider it, and if you wish to recommend refusal, then set out based on the JBA report once we've got it through, and reflect and make any changes to that response in line with the amendments that's
Shall we
been
just
made,
contact them
because
and
I-
ask them if they think it's just too tight? Or
contact the SODC?
TFAG, Ship Lake and Harpston?
I'd be more inclined to push back on SODC and say we cannot put a judgment forward.
they've already extended the deadline. I think that's risky to do that.
Okay,
If you're agreed that you're going to go with what the JBA report's going to say, or TFAG are going to say based on the JBA report, then do you just go along the lines
Preempt
of
that.
saying we support this in our response? And then that still gives us time to look at it.
I think that is, it covers a way that we can put
Yeah,
90% of the response in now. We can still have the meeting with Tennis Farm next week because we have to stress the urgency of it. They will have to find some time for us. If they don't, we can go hand in hand with them. But if they won't go hand in hand with us, that's the other side of it.
I think we've paid the money
Yeah.
to see the report. I think we
Yeah.
should wait at least for the report before we put a response in.
Mhm.
And that's coming on the 21st.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that, yeah.
Okay, so on that basis, we want a meeting set up with T5.
If they think it's too
Possible.
tight,
Yeah.
if they think it's too tight and they're not going to be able to do it, but
Yeah.
we've got 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th,
What's
27th.
your schedule like in terms of being able to put the response in together? Are you holidays or have you got capacity?
It's quite tight to do it after a meeting, but I'm going to have to wait for the TFAG response anyway. We can try and schedule a meeting,
Could we also do it two ways? Instead of SODC, can we delay it by a week?
but I don't think I
Yeah.
have scope for that because it
Okay.
takes them to the.
Okay. Sorry, Kath. Councillor Kath.
I'm not, I'm not quite sure what the meeting with them will add. I mean, I get copied on all the emails, and they're very good at communication. We'll definitely get what they're proposing to put forward. Obviously, we'll all get the report that will be circulated on Friday when we receive it. I'm not sure what, thinking about the meeting we had with that group previously, I'm not sure what that added to the process really. I wonder whether Jodie's time is better looking at the report and putting a response together from our side, and then we can tie that in once we've got what TFAG are looking to put together as well, and then and it will all get circulated on email. Rather than trying to get everyone in to talk through it. I feel like it's all so technical,
Yeah.
or technical
Yeah.
and complex, and the timing's tight, that actually perhaps people are better off sitting behind their laptops, so it's sort of trying to think through it individually.
Okay.
That's just my feeling
Yeah.
on it really.
Because trying to spend time just organising the meeting will
In itself,
it'll take away
Because
time.
it does take a lot of
Yeah.
time.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that if you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of a response, do we want to start putting the draft of response together? I mean, obviously, we're going to have the report as the basis of it.
Yeah.
We've got the responses from the Environment Agency, the responses from Thames Water, the fact that we don't have sufficient information. We don't have,
Yeah, so for the minutes, I'll say that you've delegated the response to me, and I will consider the JBA report and the response from TFAG, make
And
any
the
changes
Secretary of State.
required, and make any changes required from our last response.
Yep.
And email that out, and then I'll send you the reasons for refusal. We don't need to put that on there at the moment.
Perfect.
Good, yeah.
We still have anybody in favour? Nobody's in favour of it. Sorry, of the, yeah, okay. So that's the proposal
Yeah.
put forward. I'm more than happy to second that from the chair.
Yeah.
Would anybody else care to comment? Fantastic, all in favour? Great. And secondly, it is P24 S3425 householder for the reintroduction of the balcony.
Yes, so the applicant we recommended this for refusal last time on the grounds of harming privacy of the neighbouring property from the proposed balcony from overlooking the bearing. They provided some more information, including some photographs that you can see here. They state that they've already got a small balcony, which you can see from the last photo. This is the view that they have from that balcony. And they provided some examples of other schemes along that road, but none of them actually have a two-storey extension with a balcony on top. They're Juliet balconies or just two-storey extensions. They're proposing to put a screen to reduce the impact on number 63.
Councillor Hunt?
What impact would that have on the neighbour's light screen?
Well, it's a detached dwelling. I haven't checked the distances, but they haven't responded formally yet, but there could be some impact on their amenity on that.
I know full well from what SODC have commented on from light in terms of other buildings that they will take it not just on sunlight, but if there's any light at all. If it was overlooking and blocking out completely, they would have an issue. The 45-degree rule that Councillor Jackson likes to bring up every now and again probably is the distance is too far apart from the other house.
Yeah, I would probably say that. I haven't double checked.
Yeah.
It does seem like.
I had a good look at the photos and I can't see a problem now, particularly now they're putting up that screen and the glass at the front, so they're not overlooking there.
Yeah.
So it seemed to make a lot of sense to me, really. So I propose we
Okay.
have no objection.
So sorry, Councillor Hunt, did you have a proposal when you first spoke, or were you just asking a question?
I was asking a question, so without Councillor Jackson here, I might able to clarify.
Fantastic. So we have a proposal for acceptance. Would anybody else like the second?
After clarification on that.
Okay, Councillor Hunt the second. Anybody else got a comment? All in favour? Recommend approval. Agenda item number 6, plans new. P24 S3798, section 73.
So this is a list of building and new conservation area. One of the changes is they're changing the velexes. They're having a velex instead of a dormer, but they're quite minimal changes, so it'll be dependent on the heritage officer.
Just before I went, do we mind taking it? Is
Yeah,
it
you can
worthwhile?
take them
Okay,
together.
S73 and the
Yeah.
S19 together. Okay, take them together, please. Councillor Dodds.
They've already got permissions, haven't they? It's a minor alteration. I know when we talked about this before, we were concerned about the impact on faces, keeping,
Yeah.
when they have a staff room and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I don't know where we got on that one really, because we wouldn't want the shop to be impacted in its viability, because that's first, second floor, isn't it?
Yeah, but the principle's already been established in terms of.
It's hard for us to
changing it, so
object, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Got a comment, got a propose?
I'll propose approval.
Yeah.
Subject to the heritage officer.
I'm quite happy to
Yeah.
say, Councillor Dawes, second that. Anybody care to speak? All in favour? Thanks. P24S3954 full, floodlights. Or
Yes, so they're proposing 4 floodlights which will be installed in the 4 corners of the sports court, and they'll be 10 metres in height. This would allow for the courts to be used outside of school hours until 9:30 p.m. It's a hard sports court located in the portion of Rupert's House sports field. It's within the national landscape. Heritage, ecology, forestry and landscape are all consulted, so they'll be responding. It might be that there needs to be a condition to ensure that the lights are switched off when they're not in use and outside of the hours of daylight, just to protect the local residents and the environment. There's tree preservation orders on 4 of the trees, but the forestry officer will consider that.
Okay. Councillor Hunt.
Actually, just occurred to me, I might need to declare an interest on this site, given it is within sight of my property. I don't know if that's a registrable interest or not, but it's,
I think you're not adjacent to it or
not
straight
adjacent,
across,
no.
not straight across the road from it. No, I think within sight, I think you're all right.
They've been incredibly thorough in this application. Even that, it's been quite extraordinary. So I think we should support this. So I'm happy to
Okay.
recommend approval.
Second by Councillor Hunt.
and
Anybody else
also
care to speak?
it's near to existing road lighting.
Yeah.
So the time of day they're proposing to have them on, there is already light there.
Yes.
Exactly.
Just like Henley Bridge lights.
Mm.
Sorry.
Did you have
to? No, I didn't. I will rescind. I will take that back. It's the combination of like thinking and speaking. Sometimes they get confused. Okay, we have a proposal for acceptance and it's been seconded. Subject, I'm assuming this is subject to forestry, heritage, everybody else.
Ecology.
Yeah, ecology. So on that basis, with proposal seconded, all in favour? Thank you. P25 S99 householder for 31 Bolden Court.
Yeah, so they're proposing a new conservatory on the rear of the elevation of the dwelling. It is within the conservation area, but it's tucked back in terms of overall impact on conservation areas. So I've no comment really.
I think this is very nice, actually. It'll make a nice addition to the space they've got there. So I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Seconder. Thomas, anybody else got to speak? All in favour? Halland's Park. This is the full application, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a
That's
full
awesome, yeah.
application. So they've got to put forward 110 new homes on the northern field with 40% affordable homes, land for the Community Land Trust, the Chiltern Centre, the relocation of the employment land and the community centre, Parks Depot and new footlinks. They also have on the southern field a minor replan to include 21 new homes on there. The principle's already been established because it's allocated within the neighbourhood plan. It's within the Chilterns National Landscape and there are views across from the west and north. So landscaping and design is important on the site. Landscape and visual assessment has been submitted, setting out that they consider there be no significant long-term effects, but the landscape and forestry officer will be looking at this application. They received pre-application from SODC. There was a few comments, one around the open space. They felt that they wished to see it spread across the whole site rather than just on the edges. And I feel like they haven't really addressed that point. A biodiversity net gain assessment's been provided. Housing team have already responded to the consultation. They've set out that they feel that the affordable housing should be distributed across the whole site rather than being located in a cluster of flats or apartments. And I feel they haven't really considered or addressed this point. They also had some concerns over the visual impact of the proposed flats, which are 2.5 to 3 stories in height. They're just located just south of the employment, right at the top of the site. Other points, they've ensured the top of the is provided for the employment, so traffic doesn't go through the site. That the materials would match that of the southern field, and there'd be 2 access points from Highney's Lane and Grace Road.
I have a quick question. Is it right that they've gone for more housing than they've been allocated in the neighbourhood plan?
Yeah, the wording of the neighbourhood plan is around 110.
And it's 131?
Yeah, because they're doing it on the southern field, so they've got 110 on the northern field, as expected in the allocated site.
Question then, does this go anywhere towards our potential new need in the neighbourhood plan? Or we have to work the numbers? In some ways, this can be
The
beneficial.
20 houses would
Yeah,
contribute towards that, yeah.
because we are going to be asked to put more on.
There's a lot to consider here. However, all of the points that you picked up, Jodie, about the pre-application, I personally, I don't know about my fellow councillors, but I personally support everything that SODC have pointed out in their pre-application advice. I tend to agree with them on that one. The other point for me was some of the buildings that were 3 stories high, they looked very heavy at the top. I appreciate they've got solar panels around them, which is great, but having those 3-story houses up in that area of outstanding, actually near in the Chilterns, it was just a bit oppressive.
It's not
I don't know if you've got some, sorry, I don't know if you've got some pictures of those, the ones that I mean. There were,
I've only got a couple of examples, because there's so many plans,
Yeah.
there's different house types, so.
there were some that are really, not the flats, but I'm okay about the flats actually, but it's those tall 3-story buildings that I didn't like.
Yeah, the apartments.
I'm not sure they've got any of those in the original field, you know, the first phase.
No.
I'm not sure they've got those. Why have they put them on the second phase? I don't think they look right, and they're closer to the road.
Okay. So we could highlight that. in our
Yeah.
response.
So that's my proposal, is, yes, great. Oh, sorry, one more thing. As long as they follow the housing needs assessment as well, because SODC in their local plan, they have a very, very tight, based on, you know, really credible research on what kind of housing we need here in Henley. You know, how many beds they need, each of the, you know, this kind of
The next,
numbers of housing. So as long as they followed that as well. Not necessarily to the letter, but, you know, pretty close, 80–90%.
so is this a proposal for
Yeah,
approval subject?
Proposal approval subject to, you know, the
Adhering to the pre-application.
adherence to the pre-application from SODC, which I think, for once in my life, I actually agree with SODC on. And, but, you know, thank you. On the whole, it's a really good application. But I do for me, those 3-storey houses don't work.
Councillor Hunt.
Well, I think I'm happy to second that. I just want to comment again, I'm pleased with Councillor Thomas on the 3-storey housing. And the architecture in general, I think is not in keeping with the local area at all. It just appears to be a cheap copy of anything you could put elsewhere. And it's not going to enhance the landscape or features in the town. But I'm also sympathetic to the need for further houses. I think the lesser of two evils here is to have the housing, but if we can reduce those 3-storey houses that are completely out of keeping with the edge of town, countryside walks, then
I think I appreciate what you're saying, Councillor Dodds.
Solar panels, air source heat pumps, are they included?
Yeah,
Both.
Yeah.
Because they don't show the solar panels on the,
there's solar
could,
panels are shown on the,
yeah.
Are they?
drawings, yeah.
so they're definitely, yeah. Okay, yeah, good. And so, the other, I mean, I agree, the social housing, it should be mixed development, as they're saying, I don't like it.
50% now. I mean, as in a mix of affordable,
Mm.
social.
Yeah, but it should be spread around the development.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
just,
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
agree,
yes,
yeah.
no.
We do
Apart from
already
that, I'm
have,
happy to support.
we do already have
Mm.
that set up, and the Community Arms Trust is going to be set up in a similar way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's difficult to then say, well, actually, you should do it differently when we're going to have to do it for CLT and so is stuff there
They
already.
kind of singled out the CLT, didn't they? And I thought, because they were talking about diversity or something, it's like, look, it's our CLT, right? You know, just back off.
Exactly. And that's the other side as well. I appreciate what you're saying, Councillor Hunt, about the appearance of the houses, but at the same time, until developers start to build terraced houses and actually start to put together houses that are close together, we will have to find some other way to put the density into a land that, we have to find some ways around it.
Yeah.
It's, it'd be nice if everybody could afford a detached house to have the garden and whatever else. However,
But my objective was as much about the materials and the
Okay.
appearance as it was
okay.
the style.
Yeah, I can call it barn, but it ain't a barn.
Yes. The tall ones, they look like a lot of those you would expect to find by the seaside pasting within Oxfordshire.
Excellent. We have a proposal for approval. It's been seconded. Anybody else got a comment?
With the
With
all of
yeah.
Yeah.
we've got
subject
all
tos.
that. And the draft notes will go out and we can just approve the draft.
Yeah.
All in favour? Thank you. We can go to P25 S0214 householder for 40 Gainsborough Hill, please.
So yeah, this is a single-storey rear and side extension and a 2-storey extension, and then they're making changes to the roof, the front porch, and the materials to improve the energy efficiency of the property. It's quite a large amount of proposed extension. The new materials will be white random, won't match those of the adjacent properties along this street, but you need to consider what they can do under commercial development.
Yeah.
There are other dormers in the vicinity. It's located on a corner plot, and the extensions would be away from neighbouring properties, and it's not in the conservation area.
Okay. I think before we sort of go into it, the questions we've got to answer are they around policy? And in terms of permitted development and the size of the site, what options do we actually have? Councillor
It's
Dodds.
huge, it's very different. But are you allowed to do with your house and your land within the regulations
Yeah.
what you would like? And if they are within the rules, then it's very different.
As a standalone property, I think it's great, but it's not a standalone property. It's part of a very, very, homogeneous estate. And in that sense, it's just not in keeping at all. I appreciate all of these sort of energy efficient credentials it's going to bring to the property, but I do think it just needs to be. It's just screaming at me. Please just take it down a notch or two. It's a shame they didn't get pre-application advice actually, but it's, I'm going to say that refusal. That's my proposal.
Okay. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Hunt?
Exactly the same as those.
Okay. And the grounds were that it's out of keeping with the neighbourhood.
Yeah, the street scene. I mean, they have put in, you know, pictures of other dormers, but the dormers are tiny compared to this. So
So,
So overdevelopment, outkeeping, and do you want to mention materials?
yeah, the materials are incongruous to the estate as well. Yeah.
okay, proposal seconded. All in favour? Or against? Carried.
I'm sure it'll come back again.
I think they'll get it.
Yeah. P25 S0252 householder for 20 Niagara Road.
So this is for a single story extension and a front porch. It's outside the Article 4 area, and just outside of the conservation area. There's limited visibility of the site. And although it's single story, it's single story, but it does take up a large part of the plot.
Yes.
Okay.
Would you mind putting up the northwest elevation picture? That one, that section there on the right-hand side. Can you see that view? About the right with that just that flat roof there. I don't understand that section.
What's that?
Bottom one on the right-hand
Yeah.
side.
What's that one to the top?
Not the one at the top, the
Yeah.
one below with the
Yeah.
yeah.
Doesn't that bottom one exist already?
Yeah.
And then
You
there's
see that red bit?
Yeah.
There.
So
That's the bit that looks odd to me.
this, so here.
That's that,
So
yeah.
That is
Is
that view of that.
And that bit she doesn't
Yeah.
like is that top bit there, isn't it?
It's just that flat
This
roof.
picture.
That bit, that she doesn't like is the reverse of the triangle, isn't it?
So that
Is that, yeah, exactly.
So you've got that sort of
Yeah,
like,
which is not attractive. But
Well, if it's not overlooking, is it overlooking? I don't know.
I mean, none of the neighbours have said anything. It's in a tucked away location. I think the plot can take it. Yeah. I think it's
Councillor
okay.
Hunt?
My only concern with this is in an area that is already strapped for parking, removal of garage might create more constraints on parking.
It's got a big drive there, isn't it?
yeah, they're
The
not
only thing I'll
proposing to
say-
build all the garden, there's
Yeah.
a drive there.
There are very few people who actually put their car in the garage. It's always used for Airbnb.
Might explain why we have difficulty parking in that place.
I get it, I get it.
I propose acceptance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seconded by Councillor Hunt, everybody's got to speak. All in favour? Thank you. And finally, P25 S0338 householder for 43 St Mark's.
Just subject to the heritage officer being happy.
Yeah,
Councillor
I'll
Hunt,
propose the same. Yeah, I'll propose that.
seconded. I'm quite happy to second that.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to speak. Councillor Hunt. All in favour? Thank you. Agenda item number 7, objection. We don't want to call anything, do we? Or are we going to call in? Councillor Hunt.
Should we consider calling in Thames Farm?
I think it's already called in.
He's already called in.
Okay, agenda item number 8, decision notices, Blondie Road. I did see, is it on this one or they turn it down? Yeah, next one, okay. Okay, and obviously the mast, which is great, or not, depending on whether it's on, exactly. And finally, agenda item number 9, progress report for applications called in, Thames Farm, Anderson House, I'm sure we'll vote next time, and 32 Hart Street. Great.
Can I just make one more request actually of
Yes.
planning team? I've become aware of the development at Thamesfield Retirement Properties on the Walgrave Road. Now visually, that has a huge impact on us from our side of the river. You know, looking out over to that county.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if we should request a say, if we could actually comment on that.
Okay.
When
What do you think?
is that?
I'd have to look at when the consultation.
Yeah,
I can look at into it and let you know.
yeah, if you could contact the officer over there and see if they would actually take a view from us.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
comment on their applications.
Well, oh, we can,
Yeah, we'll be welcome to comment on their
Okay.
applications, yeah.
but they,
Or the
yeah,
inside.
If we're in the side of the
Did it carry-
consultation period.
would it carry equal weight to their own?
They'll have to
planning
consider
committee?
all material planning considerations and objections, yeah. I'll look at the.
Because remember the one that's come up on the entrance to the bridge, next to Henley, and
Birdhouse.
well, we didn't know about that one. We were not consulted, we didn't know about it, and it's all too late, and it's just dreadful.
We spoke about that before, and same thing.
Yeah, I'll look at the consultation period and then I'll email out a
Mm.
comment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meeting closed.